فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So inshallah ta'ala we're going to be continuing the lessons of the kitab Akhsar Al-Mukhtasaraat in the chapter of As-Siyam bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and the idea is to finish it today bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So the lesson is going to continue after Salatul Isha. And before we start, as always, we'll do a recap and a revision of what we covered in the previous lesson. So the first question is, Kamran, what does the word Siyam mean? Imsak. Good. What's the evidence? So what is the dalil? إني نذرت للرحمن صوما فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا. Then we said the Arabic word siyam, this is what it means in the Arabic language. It means just to withhold from it. So if I stop eating chocolates, I'm called sa'im. If I withhold from drinking a certain drink, I am sa'im. If I withhold from speaking, I am sa'im. In the Sharia, what does it mean, Abdul Wali?
Withhold from anything that breaks your fast from full Fajr event in Maghrib.
You're right. So it is التعبد لله. It is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala بالإمساك عن الأكل والشراب أو الطعام والشراب وسائر المفطرات من طلوع الفجر الصادق إلى غروب الشمس. It is to withhold, an act of worship where you withhold from eating and drinking and anything that breaks your fasting from the sunrise until the sunset. And that is what fasting we know as. Alhamdulillah, we're all Muslims and we fast every Ramadan. Walillahi hamd. The next masala that we discussed is upon who is fasting obligatory. Tahmeed. Fasting obligatory.
Muslim?
Muslim, good.
Everyone?
Every Muslim?
Not every Muslim. It's condition.
Okay. First condition is Islam. Who can give me the second one? Anna.
Sanity.
Sanity, aql. Number 3, Sheikh. Ability, qudra. Number 4, Jid. Bulugh, good. One last.
Resident.
Which you didn't mention, sorry. Resident, good.
Women.
And the last one?
For women.
For women, they are free from menses and postnatal bleeding. So 5 conditions generally, or 6 conditions. And 5, if you bunch them up, mukallaf, you say al-aqil and al-baligh, and you bunch them up, it becomes 5 conditions. So the first condition is Islam. If you're not a Muslim, then fasting is not obligatory upon you. But like we mentioned previously, you will be held accountable and punished by Allah for not fasting. And we mentioned the qa'ida or the usul, the principle of usul al-fiqh, which is هل الكفار مخاطبون بفروع الشرع أم لا? Are the disbelievers going to be held accountable for missing out on the detailed matters of the religion, or only for their kufr? We said they will be punished for both, for the disbelief and for leaving all of the obligations on top of that. But they're not commanded to come with these obligations unless they come with Islam, the Shahadatayn. But you have to be a Muslim, number 1. Number 2 is what? Mukallaf, aqil and baligh. You have to have sanity and you have to reach the age of puberty. Any child below the age of puberty, then fasting is not wajib for them. But we say if they are at the age of tamyiz, they can recognize things, and if they fast, it's accepted from them. But it's not wajib. Number 3 is al-qudra, which is the opposite of it is al-marad, or al-ajz. Or you can say sahha, which is having ability. If you are sick, then it's not wajib for you to fast. Again, this type of sickness where it's hard for you to fast. As Allah says, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Whoever upon you or from you is sick or is traveling, then he makes up for it another day. And we said the sickness is of different types. Sickness, and I don't think we do mention sickness. I will come to sickness inshallah. later on in the book. But sicknesses of types. There's a sickness, لا يرجى برؤه. You're not expected to get any better. You're not hopeful for reward. And when they say you're not hoping for reward, this doesn't mean you lose hope in Allah. It means, according to the norms of the people, there is no cure that is known for this disease. For example, AIDS. For example, diabetes. These diseases, generally, once you have them for life. There's no known cure for it today. These kind of sicknesses, and if it becomes hard for you to fast, meaning, if we say, number one, you can't take your medicine around the timings of the fasting, meaning, whilst it's night time, then you do it, and you fast, and if there's no hardship on your body. But you say, no, I have to take it at certain times, and it's hard for me. Then we say, for you is, you make up for it another day. However, if there is for you, then you pay the fidya. You feed one poor person for every day that you missed. But if the sickness is a cold, a flu, yurja bur'uhu, you expect it to get better. Cold, flu, headache, teeth ache, whatever it may be. You expect it to get better. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, a week, you will get better. Then what is upon you is what? To just bring the day back. So it depends on the type of sickness. If the sickness is a type that will not get better, you're not expected to get better, what do? Yeah? Fidya. You pay the money. So let's say, for example, somebody in the middle of Ramadan, Qaddar Allah, he discovered he had diabetes. For 15 days he missed Ramadan because he couldn't fast and he had to take his medication. What does he have to do?
Feed a poor person.
How many times?
3?
15.
No, 15.
Oh,
15.
15 days.
15 poor people. Khalas? Now, why don't we say to this person who's sick with diabetes, just make up for it another time? Right? Because he can't make up for it in Ramadan or do it in Ramadan, let alone after Ramadan. He doesn't have the ability. But a person who has, for example, a fever, in 3 days, the last 3 days of Ramadan, Qaddar Allah, he got fever. Khalas? What do we say to this person after Ramadan? Pay 3 poor people? No, we say you have to bring back those 3 days. So the default position is you bring back the days that you've missed. Only and only if you don't have the ability to make up for it because of a disease that is prolonged for the rest of your life, then we say you pay or feed one poor person for every day that you've missed. Now, a few masail, and we'll come to it inshallah ta'ala, but we'll mention it very quickly. How can you feed this one poor person? Let's say you missed 15 days. Can you feed in one day 15 people at one time? Or do you have to feed one poor person for 15 days until you finish 15 days? Does everybody understand the question?
Can you feed 15 in one day?
Yes, you're right. So you can't feed 15 at one day at the same time and khalas, this is done for you. When should you feed it? Let's say, for example, somebody has diabetes. They already know they're not going to fast this Ramadan. Can they give out the money now, before Ramadan? For 30 days and khalas? No. As Allah says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. The fasting only becomes obligatory when the moon comes in. So you only do it after the Ramadan has finished. So you can do it as every day passes, or when the whole of Ramadan finishes, you do it one time. No problem. Okay? But this is the rulings of a person who is sick. And then we said a person who is musafir, traveling. A person who's traveling is not wajib upon them to fast. But what is better? Is it better for them to fast anyways if they have the ability or not?
Yes, they can.
They can? Good. It's better for them. What's better? They should. Who said depends? That's not how it depends.
If they travel, if it's not that it's hard for them to fast when they're traveling, and some scholars say it's haram for them to fast and they should break it.
Okay.
If it's neither, then it's better for them to fast. If it's neither harder nor easier, it's better for them to fast. And if not fasting doesn't make the travel easier, then it's better for them to fast.
So we said 3 different situations. Number 1, if they say, for me, in my journey, if I open my fast, my journey will be easier. Then we say, you open your fast. Open your fast, no problem. As the Prophet ﷺ was never given an option between two things, except he chose the aysarahuma, the easier one. So if you're in a position, and it's between traveling, the hardship of traveling, and the hardship of fasting, you say the hardship of traveling is more than the hardship of fasting. Open your fast, no problem. But if you say the hardship of fasting is more than the hardship of traveling, what do we say? Open your fast. The hardship of fasting is more. The other way. If the hardship of traveling is more than the hardship of fasting. No. صح? Did I confuse it? I can list it. If the hardship of fasting, or compare the fasting and the traveling. Forget hardship, because hardship is the one that confused it. Fasting and traveling, which one is easier? The brother says traveling is easier. And whilst traveling, I'm going to open my fast. We say open your fast. If it's no, for me, fasting is easier. I don't really mind if I'm traveling, I can fast, no problem. We say fast, no problem. What if they say both? For me, it's the same. Whether I fast or I don't fast whilst traveling, it's the same for me. It doesn't matter. And then what is better? Fasting is better. Why? We said 3 reasons. Number 1 is the hurmat al-shahr, the sanctity of the month. For you to fast in Ramadan is better than fasting outside. You get more reward of fasting in Ramadan than fasting outside Ramadan. So it's better for you to fast. Number 2 is also the action of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ, sometimes he would travel and he would be fasting. As mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, مَا مِنَّا صَائِمٌ إِلَّا النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم. There is no one fasting except the Prophet, وَابْنَ رَوَاحَ, and Abdullah ibn Rawaha, the only 2 people fasting whilst traveling. So the Prophet would do it. Number 3, it's أَسْرَعُ فِي بَرَاءَةِ الذِّمَّةِ. It's better for your conscience. Like I mentioned previously, what tends to happen, people who say, I'm going to make up for it, and I'll take the concession. What happens is, they rack up the missed days and missed days and missed days, and it's on their neck until they have to pay it back. It's easier for you, just once you've done it, khalas, alhamdulillah. So, that is the fasting. And then we mentioned, how do you know Ramadan has entered? 3 ways. Sheikh, what's the first one?
The spotting of the new crescent.
When you spot the new crescent of which month?
Ramadan.
Ramadan, ahsant. Number 2. Ahmed.
Shaban is finished.
Good. When Sha'ban finishes how many? 30 days. So when Sha'ban finishes 30, next day is automatically what? Khalas, it's Ramadan. The last one we said, where there is a khilaf, which is when they come to spot the moon of Ramadan, and it's a windy or a cloudy day, and you can't see the moon. So you haven't seen it for you to announce Ramadan, but there is a possibility behind the clouds there is a moon. We said there is 2 different opinions. The Hanabila, they take the opinion, it is wajib for you to fast anyways, because of that possibility. And some of them, they say no. The rest of the 3 different madahib, they say no, you don't fast, you complete Sha'ban, or you complete Sha'ban extra, and then you fast. So you complete Sha'ban 30, and then you fast. And again, like we mentioned, they both use the same evidence.
So the people in a Muslim country, when that scenario happens, does everyone have to follow what the government says?
Regardless, again, we said these 3 things are needed when you're spotting it itself.
Okay.
But nowadays, alhamdulillah, we don't need who does the spotting themselves. Who goes and looks at the moon? Not many people. So for now, we just take the announcement and you go with it, inshallah. You take the official announcement and you go with it.
And one more other thing, you know, you said it's a hadith where the Prophet would always choose if he had 2 options, he would always choose the easier one.
Yes.
Is that a rule of thumb in life in general?
In general, but not all the time.
Okay.
But if, for example, you have a hadith of the Prophet, then again, which makes you choose one over the other, or an ayah that makes you choose one over the other, you go with where the evidence takes you. But as a rule of thumb, if you're in a position where you have 2 things and one is harder and one is easier, then yes, you choose the easier one. Yeah. Okay, let's continue, inshallah ta'ala. Our brother will read and then we'll comment. بإذن ta'ala. Yeah, تفضل.
بسم الله عليك. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم اغفر لنا ولشيخنا وللمسلمين أجمعين. قال المصنف رحمه الله: وإن رؤي نهارا فهو للمقبل.
The Shaykh now mentions an issue, which is if the moon is seen in the morning time. When do we go out and see the moon of Ramadan? Once 29th Sha'ban has finished, after the Maghrib time we stand up and we go and look for the moon. What if we don't see the moon at night, and then Fajr time comes in the morning we see the moon? What do we do? The Shaykh, he said, فَهُوَ لِلْمُقْبِلَةِ. It means it is for the next one. In essence, it means ignore it. It doesn't make a difference. You don't change it, and then you don't make up for it. No, خلاص, it's done, it's done. فَهُوَ لِلْمُقْبِلَةِ means لا عبرة به. There is no consideration given to it. If you see the moon in the morning, no need to consider it. Now,
أحسن الله إليك. وإن صار أهلا لوجوبه في أثنائه أو قدم مسافر مفطرا أو طهرت حائض أمسكوا وقضوا.
now the Shaykh mentions a mas'ala, which is, we mentioned the conditions of obligation when a person is wajib upon them to fast. But imagine somebody had these conditions whilst Ramadan is happening, meaning Ramadan starts, we are on the second day of Ramadan. And one of the conditions is what? Bulugh. Somebody had not reached the age of puberty. In the second day of Ramadan, as Ramadan has started, let's say around Dhuhr time, he's reached the age of puberty. He had a wet dream, puberty, khalas. Now, what do we say to this person? Does he have to make it up? Does he have to hold? Or for example, somebody who's a non-Muslim, he accepted Islam in the middle of Ramadan. As Ramadan is happening, all the Muslims are fasting. Do we say to this new Muslim, you have to now withhold from eating and drinking, and you have to bring the day back? Or we say we don't have to bring the day back? We're not sure your opinion.
They fast and they make it back as well.
All the conditions, huh? That's what the Sheikh's opinion is, huh? What do you say?
If on the second day they become valid, no, they don't bring it back.
Then why not?
Because the day before they wasn't valid, so it's applicable to that.
That's the point. Huh? Same point, huh? Okay, so there's two different opinions in this issue. Opinion number one is what the Shaykh mentioned. Opinion number one is, he said, أو طهرت حائض أمسكوا وقضوا. You withhold and you bring it back. In all of these cases, whether you're a new Muslim, whether you've just reached the age of puberty, whether you were majnoon and your sanity came in, any of these, or you were ajiz, you had a sickness, for example, you had diabetes, and qadar Allah, you tested, you have no diabetes anymore, in the middle of Ramadan. Any of these cases, there is one ruling for you, which is you withhold for the rest of the day and you have to bring the day back. You have to bring it back because you never fasted from beginning to end. That's the opinion of the Hanabila and that's the opinion of the Shaykh. There is a second opinion, which is the correct opinion. In this opinion, they distinguish between two things. Number one, they distinguish between wujubi أو أن يوجد شرط الوجوب, when you find the condition of obligation, and between zawalul mani', a preventative factor being removed from you. And each ruling is different, and I'll give you each one to explain to you what it is. So, the first one is what? A condition of obligation becomes available for you, it becomes present for you. For example, a person who is not puberty, who is not baligh, and he became baligh. Or for example, a person who is insane, he became sane, he had aql now. Or for example, a non-Muslim, he had kufr, and then he accepted Islam. These are called shurut wujub. These are shurut that were found, these are conditions that were found. In this case, فَيَجِبُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْإِمْسَاكِ دُونَ الْقَضَاءِ. They just have to withhold, they don't have to bring anything back. They don't have to bring anything back. So if a new Muslim accepts Islam, let's say on the first day of Ramadan, in the middle of the day, as Ramadan has already started and all the people are fasting Dhuhr time, what do we say? Do not eat and drink until Maghrib and don't do anything that breaks your fasting, but you don't have to bring it back. Aslan, he was not a Muslim, he was a kafir. It wasn't wajib upon him in the first place. Why does he have to bring it back? It wasn't wajib. So that is for the person who the condition of obligation becomes available and present in Ramadan, as opposed to a mani' that was removed. A mani' that was removed is like a musafir. He reaches his destination and becomes muqim. This is not a condition of obligation that is now found, no. This was a preventative factor. Musafir and safar and traveling is a preventative factor from you fasting. It prevents you from fasting. As soon as you reach your home country, for example, somebody was outside London, he lives in London. Let's say he was in Scotland and he was traveling. And the first day of Ramadan, he returned back. Do we say, and he returned back to the Dhuhr time and he became a resident at Dhuhr time? Do we say you have to withhold for the rest of the day? Not eat and drink? Yes, don't eat and drink for the rest of the day. But do you have to bring that day back? Yeah? Yes, you have to. Because this is a mani' that was removed. Another example is a woman who is on her menses. If a woman is on her menses, and this is a preventative factor from her fasting, in the middle of the day of Ramadan, her menses are gone, finished. Do we say you have to withhold from eating and drinking? Yes, because of the sanctity of the month. But does she have to bring it back? Yes, she also has to bring it back. So in the second opinion, they distinguish between what? A preventative factor being removed and a condition being present and available and found. And if the condition is found, then we say, no, you don't have to bring it back. And the mani' being removed, yes, you have to bring it back. That's the second opinion, and that's the correct opinion. Does everybody understand?
So,
No.
not quite.
Fine.
So, for example, if a woman on her menses,
Uh,
she realizes that she's done with it.
Aye.
For example, in Dhuhr,
yeah,
she has to carry on the fasting because of the sanctity of the month,
month,
and she has to give it back.
and she has to bring it back.
But if it's a non-Muslim, he doesn't have to give it back
Yes,
because
that's it.
okay,
Yeah.
alright.
Because look, the Muslim woman,
Yeah.
before Ramadan came in, was it wajib upon her to fast?
Yeah,
Yes, it was wajib.
Yeah.
She just had something preventing her from fasting.
Yeah.
Once this preventative thing was gone, then she can
Carry on.
continue, but she has to bring it back.
Okay, yeah.
As opposed to a person who was a kafir aslan. And in the beginning of Ramadan, when Ramadan started, he was aslan a kafir. He didn't even have to fast. In the middle of Ramadan, in Dhuhr time, he accepted Islam. This is now a condition being found.
Okay.
So this is slightly different.
Makes sense.
Does that make sense?
So with a kid who just hit puberty,
He's also condition found.
oh, he's like the woman.
He's like the Muslim.
Okay,
It's a
okay.
condition that is found.
Okay, alright.
So this is the issue then. تفضل. Next issue.
أحسن الله إليكم. ومن أفطر لكبير أو مرض لا يرجى برؤه
Now,
أطعم لكل يوم مسكينا.
he says, من أفطر لكبر, whoever fasts because of an old age, أو مرض. Somebody, for example, they reach an old age, and generally people when they reach an old age, their body cannot take it. They have to eat food a certain amount of time. Certain old people, not all old people. Or because of a sickness, like we mentioned, they have to take medication, some sort of disease. He said, لا يرجى برؤه. He's not expected to get better. And then what did he say? You feed for every poor person a meal. Now, in this issue, there's a few masail. The first issue is the sickness and the harm that comes and affects the person. And this is of three types. Number one is a person who has sickness, cold, flu, a bit of fever, but it's not stopping you from your day-to-day activities. It's causing you difficulty, but not great hardship. It's not making your life hard. For example, somebody wakes with a headache. Can we say this person doesn't need to fast? No. This is called a mashaqqa yasira. It's a hardship that is little. Carry on fasting. If the person says, okay, I just feel a bit tired and body aches. This is hardship. This is small hardship. Carry on fasting. You cannot take the concession and say, I am sick and I have a chance to not. No. sickness is very little, you have to fast, it's wajib for you to fast. That's number one. Number two, if the sickness, if the person is sick, and the sickness or the fasting will cause him to be more sick. So he's sick at a basic level, but then if he does fast and doesn't eat, his sickness will increase. What should the person do in this case?
You should break his fast.
Break his fast.
Yeah.
Why?
Because if he doesn't break his fast, he's going to be sick for a longer time. That makes sense.
Anyone have a different opinion? So he's right, the brother's right, which is, you don't fast. You don't fast. Okay? What if we say the sickness is a lot? So the person is already very, 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 very sick. He cannot fast, aslan. For example, he says, look, if I fast today, I will be bedridden for the next 1 month, 2 months. If I just fast for one day, what do we say? Don't fast. And some of the scholars even say it's haram for him to fast. It becomes haram. As Allah says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not kill yourselves. So some of the scholars, like Ibn Uthaymeen, he says it is haram for you to fast. Now, there's another situation where a person is sick and it does not cause them difficulty and not even great harm. It's not even a problem for them. It's a very, very light issue. It's not even a problem for them. What do we say? Of course, it stays wajib for you to fast. It stays wajib for you to fast. Now, tell me. But we said a person who has a sickness and then the sickness is the type of sickness where he can get better, what does he do? Brings it back. So sickness is of two types. Sickness that you cannot get better from, what do? Feed one poor person for every day you miss. If the sickness will get better after Ramadan or during Ramadan, what do? You bring it back. Allah. Good. Now, follow.
أحسن الله إليك وسن الفطر لمريض يشق عليه ومسافر يقصر.
Now, so this is the issue we mentioned, which is if fasting is just difficult and it's hard for you, it's not difficult, it just causes you hardship, but not difficulty, just a bit of inconvenience, call it. And then we say it's sunnah for you to fast. He says, وَمُسَافِرٍ يَقْصُرْ, for musafir that is traveling. This is the issue of the musafir. Now, when do we consider a person a musafir, and therefore for him he has this sunnah not to fast? Again, we said it's not always the case that it is recommended for you not to fast. Sometimes it's recommended for you to fast even if you're a traveler. But what's the had? What's the point where we say this person is a musafir? Distance, night journey. Distance, how much?
I heard it's 80 kilometers, I don't know. For sure.
80 kilometers, 84 kilometers, 103 kilometers, 120 kilometers, 93 kilometers. Which opinion do you take, huh? Let's see how many numbers we can get. Who can give me a number that they know, whose scholars consider a distance for traveling?
More than 70?
More than 70, yeah, well, that's one opinion. What did you say, 80?
Yeah.
80, second opinion.
86.
86.
As soon as you leave your city.
Huh?
As soon as you leave your city.
No, distance. 40? I've never heard 40, maybe 40, huh? What else? 120, huh? 80. 80, he said 80, right? 80. The common opinion is 83, 84, right? Again, the reason this is not the correct opinion, and we do not measure you whether you're musafir or not based on distance, is because it's غير منضبط. You don't know what distance it is. The scholars of fiqh themselves, they disagree regarding the distance. So how can you say this is something the Sharia attached a ruling to, but then the scholars are different regarding or related to it? The mansha al-khilaf, where it comes from, is the distance at the time of the Prophet was not miles in kilometers. What was it? Burud. And it's called 4 burud. Burud is the distance, and it's 4 burud, which is approximately 84 kilometers, 94 kilometers, 103 kilometers, 102 kilometers. The scholars have approximations, which is why this opinion of saying distance is when I'm going to be in Musafir is not a correct opinion. So if you say every time I travel more than 60 kilometers, I'm a Musafir, and less than that I'm not, it's not accurate. That's one opinion. The second opinion of Safar, they say, is based on time, not distance. It's the time that you take to travel. It has to be a day or a night journey, so 24 hours journey. Any journey less than 24 hours is not a Safar. So if I travel from here to Scotland, a different country, right? How many hours?
6, 7 hours.
6, 7, 10 hours? They say no, it's not a Safar. Your journey has to consist of 1 day, 1 night of traveling.
Go travel.
You have to stay, stop, and then 1 night, and then it's traveling. That's the second opinion. The third opinion, and that's the correct opinion, is it goes back to the norms of the people. Al-urf. Al-'adat muhakkama, norms of the people. صح? So what is the norms of the people?
Past the M25?
Huh?
Past the M25?
Past them 25, right?
I'm not gonna answer that question. I don't know about. Right.
Okay, so from here, from London to Slough, Safar or not?
No.
Who says it's Safar? Raise your hands. Isn't London a different city than Slough?
Yeah.
From here to Reading,
Yeah,
traveling or not?
No.
Who says traveling? Raise your hands. Can't even do the statistics, huh? So again, we go with the norms of the people of the land. So he says, for example, from here to what, East London or North London, how many hours is that? Hour and a half, traffic 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. Traveling or not traveling? Not traveling? So it's easier for me to go to Reading, which some people consider a Safar traveling, than going to East London, which some people do not consider traveling. So we go back to the norms of the people. Again, how do we know that the norms? It's based on generally the idea of the people of that land. What they consider to be traveling or what they don't consider to be traveling. Yeah.
Could you say it's just whatever you consider far?
Not what you consider, it's what what's the norms of the people. What the Ahlul London consider.
What if it's at 50% on each side?
Then the hat cannot be 50% on each side. It's impossible for it to be like that. It's generally the overwhelming majority. Yeah.
So what would you personally think? Is it Reading a Safar? Like,
That's my opinion, but I'm not from London, so you can't take.
oh,
So
My
how do you gather that?
People know. People understand.
But we
Again, generally, a lot of us will have an opinion that is more prominent than the other opinion. For example, here to Bradford. From here
to Essex.
here to Leicester.
Yeah,
Here to St. Albans.
No.
Yeah, Safar. So St. Albans.
There is a bit of khilaf. So majority of the issues of what is Safar and what is not, there is no khilaf. Is a little bit, yes.
So can you base it upon yourself then?
Yeah, based on what you think. Yes, yes, what you think is Safar at that point. That small place where there is a bit of back and forth. So that is the correct opinion. So when are you going to be a Musafir who cannot or take the concession of not fasting? A Safar, according to the norms of the people of the land. Yeah.
أحسن الله إليك وإن أفطرت حامل أو مرضع خوفا على أنفسهما قضتا فقط
Yeah.
أو على ولديهما مع الإطعام ممن يمون الولد.
Now, so this is the issue the scholars speak about, which is if a woman does not fast because she is pregnant and then she has a child in her stomach, should she make it up? Should she not make it up? Should she just pay the fidya? The Shaykh has an opinion, and the opinion is based on what the woman fears, who she fears for. So let's look at what the madhab says, and then we'll give you the correct opinion. So he says, "In aftarat hamilun." If a pregnant woman breaks her fast, أو مرضع, or a woman who's she's not pregnant, but she's already delivered the baby, but she wants to breastfeed the baby. So the baby's milk relies on her, and if she doesn't eat, there's no milk for the baby. These two conditions, he says, خوفا على أنفسهما قضتا فقط. If she only fears harm upon herself. If you ask the mother, why did you not fast? She says, I'm gonna get sick and I'm gonna get tired. Then we say she only has to bring it back. That's one. Then he says, أو على ولديهما, or upon the child or her child only upon her child. Then what? مع الإطعام. She not only has to bring it back, she also has to feed one poor person for every day that she's missed. For every day that she's missed. So it depends on what she fears, has the fear of, depending on that. The summary of all of this is she just has to bring it back. A woman who's breastfeeding or has childbirth and then she has to nurse the child just has to bring the day back, and that's it. There is no evidence to suggest feed as well at the same time. Never have we seen in the Sharia a person is told to bring the fasting back and to pay the fidya at the same time. Except there is one circumstance, we'll mention it later. But generally there is no case like that. Okay, so that's the opinion of Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, and other scholars. Now, تفضل.
أحسن الله إليك. ومن أغمي عليه أو جن جميع النهار لم يصح صومه.
Yeah, alaykum salam. So the Shaykh now he mentions من أغمي عليه, anybody who falls unconscious in Ramadan. So this person starts Ramadan, he's fasting. But Dhuhr time comes in and he becomes unconscious. أو جنة, or Dhuhr time comes in and he becomes insane. جميع النهار, the rest, or he becomes insane. Again, this is, he's not mentioning, he's mentioning from the beginning. So from Fajr, he became insane. Or from Fajr, he became unconscious and he missed the whole fasting until Maghrib. All of it he missed. He says, لم يصح صومه. His fasting is not valid. ويقضي المغمى عليه. And only one of them has to bring it back, which is the one who became unconscious. Now, this person who is unconscious or becomes insane a portion of the night is different situations. Number one, if this person, he is insane for the whole night, so the whole morning of Ramadan. So from Fajr till Maghrib, he is insane. Or from Fajr till Maghrib, he is unconscious. Then they have to bring it back. And it's the only person who has to bring it back is who? The unconscious one. Not the Majnun. Why? Huh? No, he's not the conditions. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, رُفِعَ الْقَلَمُ عَنْ ثَلَاثٍ, the pen is lifted from 3, the one who is Majnun حَتَّى يَفِيقٍ, until he wakes up. So he's already Majnun, so he's not going to be held accountable. He's not going to be considered as he's missed the day, aslan, because he had no intention, he has no sanity in the first place. As opposed to the one who lost consciousness, this person had sanity. And that was a condition that was present. He just lost temporarily his consciousness. He has to bring it back. Another mas'ala is, what if somebody, it happens to him in a part of the night or the morning. So in the part of it he was unconscious and a part of it he witnessed. Then what does he do? Does he have to bring it back? Somebody, for example, he was sane, Dhuhr time comes in, for 3 hours he became insane. Nobody knows what he's saying, nobody knows what he's doing, what he's talking about. Then sanity came back again. Does he have to bring the day back again? No. If a person became insane, unconscious, he fainted for 3 hours in Ramadan, and then he regained consciousness during the morning time of Ramadan, does he have to bring it back again? No, his fasting is valid. These two people, the fasting is valid. What if somebody sleeps? is valid as well. And sleep is the least of them, صح? Sleep is the least. His fasting is valid as well, not an issue. تفضل.
أحسن الله إليك. ولا يصح صوم فرض إلا بنية معينة بجزء من الليل.
Now he now speaks into the issue of niyyah, the intention. And he says, لا يصح صوم فرض إلا بنية. An obligatory fasting is not allowed except if you have an intention. And then he says, معينة. معينة means a specific intention. And the intention is either this is Ramadan, or this is qada, this is making up a Ramadan, this is a fasting that is a nadr, I've taken an oath, or a kafara fasting. All of these are wajib. You have to specify which type of wajib fasting you're about to do. Who does this? Who specifies I'm going to fast? We intend Ramadan, but who specifies it with intention? And if somebody makes up Ramadan, they specify the making up. So again, there is no evidence for you to say ta'ayyin niyyah like that. You just have an intention. Khalas. An intention is sufficient. And he says, when bijuz'in min al-layl, in a portion of the night. And this is based on the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَنْ لَمْ يُبَيِّتِ الصِّيَامَ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَلَا صِيَامَ لَهُ. Anybody who does not have the fasting from the night before. So when do you make the intention of fasting? The night before. Now here's the mas'ala and a few issues. Now the intention of fard is different than the intention of sunnah and method. The intention of fard, you have to make it from the night before. For example, if I, in the tomorrow dhuhr time, I realize I missed a Ramadan fast, for example, and I realize at dhuhr, can I now start, and I haven't eaten and drank anything from the morning, can I start fasting the rest of it?
No.
Qada of Ramadan? No. Why? Qada is what kind of fasting? Fard. This is, originally Ramadan was fard, the qada of it is fard. I have to have the intention for the night before. As opposed to if I wake up on a Monday, and I say, and haven't eaten or drunk anything, and I just think, subhanAllah, today is Monday, Sunnah, I want to fast. Can I start fasting from Dhuhr? Yes. Can I start fasting from Asr? Yes. Can I fast 1 hour before Maghrib? Yes. Ijma', all the scholars, they say that your fasting is accepted. The only khilaf is how much reward you get. If I fast 1 minute before Maghrib, haven't eaten, I haven't drank 1 minute, how much reward do I get? For that 1 minute only? Or for the whole day?
For the whole day.
For the whole day? Allah is the Rahman, sir?
Yes, because Allah Kareem, Allah gives more than.
MashaAllah. Husn al-dhann Allah. MashaAllah. Allahu a'lam, but the correct opinion is إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. As much as you intended. So you started your intention 1 minute, you get your reward 1 minute. There is a khilaf, but again, that's the correct opinion, inshaAllah ta'ala. But nobody differs. The siyam that is a nafil, you can do it any time in the day. Now the fard fasting, the fasting of fard, Ramadan, is one intention in the beginning for the whole month? Or do I have to make an intention every single night of Ramadan?
That's the question was about to ask you now. So I need to listen.
What do you think first?
I think for the whole Ramadan,
One is enough.
then once enough for me.
Every night.
Every night.
Every night. Yeah, every night.
Every night.
Every night.
Is a khilaf. The scholars have a difference of opinion. My heart settles to the opinion of the Malikiyyah and Ibn Uthaymeen, which is that one intention in the beginning is enough. As long as there is nothing in the middle that broke your intention. So one intention in the beginning is sufficient for the whole month, as long as in the middle your fasting was not broken. For example, if you became sick or a woman had her menses and then the intention broke, then she has to restart her intention. Otherwise, to continue the rest of the month. Otherwise, one in the beginning is enough. Okay? Now what is the intention? What is the intention? Do I have to sit after Taraweeh in a room like this until my head becomes hot and say, Allahumma inni nawaitu siyam? So how do I do it?
just the action itself.
Just that's right. Just action.
Yeah.
Idea.
But how's the niyyah?
I put in my mind that I need to fast.
So just thought of it.
Totally, yes.
So Hassan. That's the correct opinion. So niyyah, the matter of it is easy. محلها القلب. Its place is in the heart. If I say to one of the brothers, I think you bring me the chair, and you lift the chair and you bring it to me, خلاص, you made the intention. If I did this, I had the intention of lifting the book. And that's why Imam al-Hajjawi in his Kitab al-Iqna' he says, من خطر بباله أنه صائم غدا فقد نوى. Anybody who has the thought in his mind, I'm going to fast tomorrow, خلاص, intention done. You don't need to think, you don't need to say, you don't need to face the qibla. There is no specific dua of niyyah you have to say. All you have to do is think about it and that's it. No.
But isn't eating suhoor? Meaning that you're
Yes,
making the
so
intention
that's-
every night.
Yeah, the fact that you thought about it, you're thinking about fasting.
So
By
you're
eating
making-
suhoor, yeah.
So you're still making the intention every night.
No, so you thought of it. So you can make it every day, but we say is one enough in the beginning? And again, what is the issue here? And when did this khilaf really stand out? Is if, for example, somebody misses suhoor, or somebody after Taraweeh, or let's say, for example, he sleeps after, even though it's haram, you're not allowed to, but after Maghrib, he sleeps. Eats iftar, such a big iftar, falls asleep. He wakes up next morning, 10 a.m. He missed Taraweeh, he missed Fajr, and he wakes up 10 a.m. Now this person never had intention in the layl, right? So this is where we say if he intended one time in the beginning of the month, he's okay, his fasting is valid. Yes, he's haram and he's going to sin for missing salawat, but his fasting is valid. Because not everybody does suhoor. Some people miss suhoor sometimes. So that's what the khilaf is.
Where did these opinions originate from?
Which opinions?
It was a qiyas that you have to do it at the beginning of the month, or you have to do it every day.
What do you mean?
Like, how did the ulama come with the two opinions?
So the first opinion is based on the ayah, on the hadith one. The Prophet said, "Man lam yubayit as-siyam min al-layl fala siyam lahu." Anybody who does not have the fasting from the night before, then there is no fasting for him. So this camp, they said you have to have fast intention every night. Another camp said, no. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions are based on the intention. If you intend the whole of Ramadan, خلاص, you don't need to do it every night. That hadith is what takes precedence. Makes sense? There's arguments like this. No. So, that is the issue of intention. Now, there's nothing else related to intention being laid. Now, follow.
أحسن الله إليك ويصح نفل ممن لم يفعل مفعلا بنية النهار مطلقا.
Now, he says, يصح, it is correct, نفل. Like we mentioned, in a nafil fasting, Mondays, Thursdays, ayyamul bid, the white days, you can wake up in the middle of the day as long as you've not come with anything that breaks your fasting, and you can fast. Even if it's 1 minute before, no difference. And the only khilaf is what? The reward, as we mentioned. مِمَّنْ لَمْ يَفْعَلْ مُفْسِدًا. That's the condition. As long as you do not do anything that breaks your fast. Now.
أحسن الله إليك فصل ومن أدخل إلى جوفه.
Now, so this is, it says faslun. Faslun means a chapter or a subcategory. Now the Shaykh will start to speak about the mufattirat, the things that break the fasting. And the Shaykh, he mentions some of them, but he misses some of them. We'll list all of them. There's 9 things that break your fast. 9 things, if you do them, your fasting is broken. Number 1, fadl.
أحسن الله إليك أدخل إلى جوفه.
Now, he said, whoever inserts something in his jawf. What is the jawf?
Joke is stomach.
Stomach, abdomen. Jawf is any place that is hollow. And certain scholars, they say, jawf is anything that is hollow. Therefore, brain, throat, stomach, anything that is hollow is your jawf. Certain scholars say, no, jawf is specifically the abdomen. What the Arabs refer to as jawf is the abdomen. Therefore, anybody who inserts anything to the abdomen breaks the fasting. Now, here's a few masail. Does this thing that goes into the abdomen, does it have to be nutrition to break your fasting? So we understand eating and drinking. If I eat something and it reaches my stomach, fasting broken. صح? If I drink something, reaches my stomach, fasting broken. What if somebody takes accidentally, well not accidentally, intentionally, takes this plastic. Plastic is not food and drink. Plastic. Or cotton, swallows it. It reaches his stomach. Does it break his fasting?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Or is there illah, is the wisdom by why something goes in your stomach and breaks your fasting? The fact that it is mughaddiya, it gives you nutrition, it gives you strength? Or is it just the fact that anything reaches your stomach?
Anything which is
Anything reaches your stomach, huh?
Is it a necessity for treatment? So, Allah Alam, asthma pumps, it's not nutritious. But
That's a different issue.
it's the finish too.
Yeah, because asthma pumps don't even reach the stomach, aslan, they go to the lungs. That's the issue of the halq.
Oh,
And then you taste it in your halq, has it reached your stomach? Well, that's a different issue.
oh.
But if you take a piece of plastic in Ramadan and swallow it, it reaches your stomach, does it break your fasting or not? Khilaf. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala takes the opinion, yes, it breaks your fasting. Even if it's not nutritious, and that's the correct opinion. Because it falls under the umum of the lafz of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the ta'am and the sharab. Man lam yada' at-ta'am wa sharab. Anybody who does not leave ta'am and sharab. And anything according to the hours that you put in your mouth is called ta'am. Regardless of whether it's nutrition or not. So they say, anything that goes in your stomach, even if it's a pebble, you take a rock and you swallow it, goes in your stomach, it will break your fasting. And that's the correct opinion. And some scholars say, no, it has to be food and drink that gives you nutrition. Now, follow the next one.
أحسن الله إليك أو مجوف في جسده.
Mujawwaf is again a hollow part. A jawf, mujawwaf, and it's different than the abdomen. Because these two words were brought together, it's different. Al-mujawwaf here means al-sadr, the chest, al-halq, the throat, al-dubur, the backside, the private parts of a woman, which is hollow. These things, if anybody inserts anything into it, it breaks your fasting. Now,
أحسن الله
so
إليك.
if somebody, for example, is having brain surgery, they open his brains, they put something in his brain and they close it. They haven't put it in his mouth, but it's gone in his brain, the mouth. It's a hollow part, it's mujawwaf. Does it break their fasting? Yes. Now,
أحسن الله إليك كدماغ وحلق شيئا من أي موضع كان.
now from any place that it goes in. So if somebody puts the thing from here, from the side, they create a surgery, they make a hole in your side of your body and they put something in your stomach. Does it break your fasting? Yes, it breaks your fasting. Now,
أحسن الله إليك غير إحليله.
now, ihleel is what the front passage, the private parts of a man from that part. Now there's a few issues. Anything that goes into the mujawwaf, and again, even the mujawwaf, as we mentioned, we said which opinion is stronger? That it does break your fasting. There is an opinion, Allahu A'lam, and I'm recently inclined to this opinion, which is the opinion of Ibn Taymiyyah. They say no. If it goes into your brain, it does not break your fast. It goes into the side of your stomach, not through your pathway that is normal, it does not break your fasting. That's the second opinion. Regardless, generally there's a khilaf, it's better to stay away from it and not have brain surgery or stomach surgery in Ramadan. Sorry? One second. The issue of another place, which is the throat. In the throat there is a khilaf as well, just like the mujawwaf, other parts of the body that are hollow. But the khilaf in the throat is strong. We say, if the thing that you put in your throat is something that is solid, then it does not break your fast. But if somebody puts something solid, it goes to the throat, but it comes out. We're not saying it goes to the stomach. So it reaches the throat and then it comes out. If it reaches the throat and it comes out, does it break your fasting? No, if it's solid. If it's liquid, somebody drinks something and doesn't go to the stomach, it reaches the throat, then they spit it out. Does it break their fasting? We say yes. Because the liquid is likely to fall down as opposed to a solid. Okay? Yeah.
So the khilaf when it comes something, you insert something in the brain or the hip. If it is nutritious, there's no khilaf on it. Or there is a khilaf.
No, this is not for the nutrition as well.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على النبي الصلاة والسلام على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أما بعد. Before the break we were discussing the nawaqid of or the mufattirat of fasting. What was the discussion around? Mujawwaf. Two opinions. What's the first opinion? Anything that goes into a mujawwaf part of the body, then it breaks your fasting. And the other opinion is, no, it does not break your fasting even if it's mujawwaf. The khilaf, just to give you the evidence of each party, the group that says anything in the mujawwaf does break your fasting, they do it qiyasan, as a qiyas on the hadith of Laqit ibn Sabara, which is when the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Baligh fil istinshaqi," go overboard in rinsing your mouth and gargling your mouth, illa an takuna sa'ima, except if you're fasting. They say a person is doing it in the nose, it's not going to go in the stomach. So they say if it's going in the nose, because it's mujawwaf, That's why the Prophet told you not to do it. And then any other part of the body that is mujawwaf takes the same ruling. And the other group, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah and others, they said no, there is no evidence that these mujawwaf part of the body, if reaching anything in it, will break the fasting. Now, and the issue that the author he mentioned, غير إحليل. إحليل is the male private part, the inside of the male private part, the chamber of the male private part. So if somebody puts something there, in it there for medical reasons or whatever reasons, does it break the fasting? He says no. And this one there is no khilaf. Whether you take the opinion of mujawwaf or not, there is no khilaf. Why? Because the private parts, the front private parts of the male, there is no manfat. It doesn't go to the stomach whatsoever. The reason there is khilaf in other sections is the possibility of it being connected to your stomach. That's why. Tell me.
أحسن الله إليك أو ابتلع نخامة بعد وصولها إلى فمه.
Now, so this is another issue, which is, does swallowing nukhama, what is nukhama? Phlegm. Mucus, phlegm. If you're sick, you have phlegm in your mouth. Swallowing this, does it break your fast? Difference of opinion. A group of scholars, they say, yes, it does break your fasting. If you swallow it, and it goes into your stomach, because it's going into your stomach, it does break your fasting. And this nukhama, it has to be something that you've gathered in your mouth, and you've gathered it and then swallowed it. So if it's something that is natural like this, as I'm speaking, I have a cold, and mucus goes down, it's not a problem. If I've gathered it and gathered it and gathered it, and then swallowed it, then they say it breaks your fasting. And that's the first opinion. The second opinion is the opinion of Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, and others other than him, which they say it does not break your fast whatsoever. No matter if you gather mucus this much, phlegm this much in your stomach, in your mouth, and then swallow it, it does not break your fasting. Because this is a part of your body, something that is mu'tad, and the sharia will become very hard for you to say, you have to avoid swallowing your phlegm whilst you're sick. The sharia is not like that. They say no. This is haraj, and this is not a part of the sharia. Therefore, no matter how much mucus you have, intentionally swallowing it does not break your fast. Again, this discussion here now is what? Phlegm that is in your mouth, that you're swallowing within your mouth. If, akramakumullah, may Allah honor you, somebody has phlegm, and it comes out, and then the person takes it in, and then swallows it, and reaches their stomach, does it break their fasting? No difference. So this, we're speaking about phlegm that's already in your mouth, and it's going in your stomach. Does everybody understand? Phlegm that's already in your mouth. So two different opinions. One opinion that says, yes, swallowing phlegm, if you gather it and you make it into a bowl or an amount, and then you swallow it, it breaks your fasting. And a group that say, no matter how much, it will not break your fasting, and that's the correct opinion. And with that is also the issue of saliva. Saliva, gathering saliva in your mouth and swallowing it, no matter how much you make a big ball of saliva in your mouth, and you swallow it. And again, saliva that is already within your mouth, and you swallow it, it does not break your fast. Okay, there's something, a part of the human body, and the sharia did not make anything hard, and there is no evidence to say that actually breaks your fasting. Now,
أحسن الله إليك أو استقاء فقاء.
Now here the word is istaqa. Istaqa, alif, sin, and ta, it shows talab. It shows the person is requesting for it. And al-qay is what? Vomit, throwing up. If somebody requests, meaning they force themselves, induce vomiting, it breaks their fasting. But if somebody was sick and they had a flu or they had a fever, and automatically because of this fever they threw up, does it break their fasting? No, it doesn't. So the word is istaqa'a. The hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man dara'ahu al-qayb fala qada alayh." Whoever it comes out from them, there's nothing upon them. وَمَنْ اسْتَقَاءَ. And whoever forces it, induces it. Now, regardless of how you induce it, whether you squeeze on your stomach and you make yourself throw up, it breaks your fasting because you forced it. You put your fingers in your mouth and you force it, it breaks your fasting. You smell something intentionally and it breaks your fasting, and it makes you throw up, it breaks your fasting. A question. If somebody walks by something and it's very smelly It's really extremely smelly, and it makes them throw up. Breaks the fasting or not?
They still fast.
If they know there's something there that's smelly and they purposely walk past it,
Yeah.
then it breaks it.
I said, what if they didn't know and they just walked in there? It doesn't break the fasting. So it depends on intentionally or not. So إنما الأعمال بالنيات. If they intentionally did it, then it breaks the fasting. If they unintentionally walked by there and it caused them to throw up, then it takes the ruling of natural vomiting, and that does not break your fasting. Now, inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here. We'll take the rest of it after the salah, inshallah ta'ala, because they're all related issues. بإذن الله تعالى. بارك الله فيكم.